The morning was already sweating when the two strange shapes broke the horizon. At the rubble maintenance yard, a mechanic froze, rag in hand, and pointed like a man seeing a ghost. Pilots shaded their eyes. The aircraft looked wrong. Twin booms, a cockpit pod in the middle, a silhouette that didn't belong in anyone's handbook. A young flyer snorted, nudging his mate. "They must have run out of parts at the factory," he joked. "Look at it. Someone glued two tails together." The laugh was brittle, a small human sound against the vast, indifferent ocean. No one felt threatened. Not yet. Here's the thing. In war, first impressions can get you killed. Pilots learned that the hard way. The P-38 Lightning arrived in the Pacific looking awkward, almost apologetic in shape. But what hiding behind that odd silhouette was a machine built for doing things the Zero simply couldn't, and those things rewrote how Japanese pilots fought. This story isn't just about metal and engines, it's about how a weird-looking plane forced new rules into the sky, and how men on both sides had to relearn everything they thought they knew. Imagine the early Pacific War. The Zero is king. Light, nimble, it could turn inside almost anything the Allies threw up there. If you were an Allied pilot, you learned fast. Don't get into a turning fight with a Zero. It kills by outmaneuvering you. So when a machine that looked big, heavy, and clumsy drifted across the horizon, Japanese pilots shrugged. Why worry? It didn't belong in their playbook. Their tactics relied on close-in turning fights and getting the first burst in at point-blank range. The P-38 did not want to play that game. It had reach, it had punch, and it had a backup plan. Two engines instead of one meant if one stopped, the other could still keep you alive long enough to get home. Guns in the nose, 4.50 Brownings and a 20mm cannon on many models meant the pilot didn't need to wait for the bullets to converge in front of the plane. You aimed, you fired, and the bullet stream hit where you were looking. Add long-range drop tanks, and you've got a fighter that could show up where nobody expected it. Those were engineering choices. They weren't pretty, but they were brutal in combat. The first dogfights were not the spectacle people expected. A Japanese pilot would climb and bank to force the Lightning into a turning scrap, expecting it to fold and tumble like older Allied machines did. Instead, the Lightning would shrug, climb higher or drop away, and then come in short, surgical bursts that left clean lines on wings and fuselages. Not the messy spray of wing guns, neat stitches of destruction. Pilots came back and said the same thing. We could twist and turn under them forever and never close. That helplessness is corrosive. It changes the way you breathe in the cockpit. It changes your choices. Let's imagine a pilot. We'll call him Suzuki, because that's the kind of name you hear in these memoirs. Hunched over his stick, island reef below, wind in his face. He sees the odd shape, grins, and pushes the throttle. He thinks it'll be easy. He angles for a classic trap. A tight climb, a snap turn. The tricks that worked 100 times before. The P-38 pulls up lazily, keeps distance like it's bored, then folds the world into a single second. Tracers stitch through the sky. Suzuki feels the plane judder, not an explosion, not the frantic tearing that happens when you're out of control. A small, merciless hole where the metal peels back. The engine coughs, the radio goes quiet for a breath. That silence, it learns into you. It's the sound of a lesson. Then came a mission that every pilot would remember. Intelligence, American intelligence, had read the enemy's plan. A specific flight, a specific time, a specific place. The Lightning was perfect for this. Long legs, accuracy, and enough speed to get in and out. A squadron left before dawn, skimming the water for hundreds of miles, hiding in the grey. They rose, they climbed, and they hit a target the Japanese thought was safe. Leaders were killed, escorts were stunned. The message that day was clear and simple. The Lightning could reach where you felt untouchable, and when it fired with deadly accuracy. After that mission, the tone in Japanese reports shifted. Mockery turned into reports of caution, tactical memos with new rules. Do not let it climb above you. Don't trade altitude for a turn. Keep your distance. War is built on habits. When a new habit, like avoid letting a P-38 get high, spreads, it rewrites fights. Japanese squadrons started training different responses. The old bravado of a quick turn into a clutching enemy gave way to the cold logic of prevention. A nickname that began as a joke now carried teeth. The lightning's presence changed the math every time it showed up. Who had the altitude? Who had the energy? Who had the patience to pick the moment? Not every encounter was a headline. There are quiet ones that add up. Reconnaissance scouts picked off on lonely supply runs, bombers disrupted on corridors they thought safe, lone escorts chased out of the sky at odd ranges. One Lightning pilot later said the strangest part of his kills was the sound. Not a roar, but a sudden hush. One moment noise and motion, the next an almost unnatural silence. Men remember silence. The Japanese remember it too. Don't think the Lightning was magic. It had costs. 2 engines meant 2 sets of headaches for ground crews living in heat and salt. Turbochargers, intercoolers, twin systems, all needed hands and time. In the Pacific, corrosion and humidity were enemies as fierce as bullets. And early on, the plane had quirks. High-speed dive problems that had engineers scrambling for fixes. But those faults didn't erase what it could do in the hands of a pilot who respected it, who used its reach and its straight-shot nose guns the way they were meant to be used. It suited certain pilots like a well-made glove. Some of America's top aces flew Lightnings, aggressive, precise men who liked to pick a moment and make it count. For them, the Lightning was a scalpel. For others, a blunt instrument. That difference, who the pilot was, often mattered more than the plane itself. But when pilot and plane matched, the result was lethal and efficient. For Japanese aviators, the arc is instructive. From scorn to study, from jokes to new tactics, they learned. The nickname that stuck, the fork-tailed devil, changed tone. It moved from ridicule to grudging respect, and finally into caution. That's the most human part of this story. Enemies evaluating enemies, changing their behavior, adapting strategies because a machine refused to behave like anything they'd seen before. This isn't a love letter to metal, it's a reminder that war is a conversation between design and human choice. A plane doesn't fight alone. It asks for a type of pilot, a kind of crew, a set of tactics that either make it sing or make it stumble. The P-38 looked wrong on purpose. Its shape was a set of answers to problems the Pacific presented. Long distances, brutal weather, the need to bring men home. When the world laughed, the Lightning kept working. And in time, the world, even its enemies, learned to respect that. Next time, we'll look at a bomber the Germans nicknamed the Flying Porcupine. A plane that got its name for good reason, and for the same blunt truth. Nicknames in war usually come from experience, not fashion. If this surprised you, hit like and subscribe. Tell me in the comments, what surprised you most? The laugh, the silence after a hit, or the way a single mission could change a whole air force?